So moving on, we are going to have a panel discussions on the topic of bridging the gap, the road to mass adoption. So as we just heard, there are a lot of great ideas which can recreate the economy. However, Web3 is still yet to be widely adopted. So in this upcoming panels, the speakers are going to explore the challenges of achieving mass adoptions. And now let's welcome the moderator to come up on stage, Ms. Laura Wang, partnered at Elven. Let's welcome Laura on stage. And moving on, our panelists include Mr. Raj Bagadi, founder and director of eMoney Network. Let's welcome Raj. And next, we have Ms. Serra Wei, founder of Aegis Custody. Let's welcome Serra. And last but not least, let's welcome Mr. Justin Chan, CFA, Executive Vice President, Head of Business and Partnerships at RD Technologies. And now, without any further ado, I'm going to pass the stage over to Laura. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all of you to keep all the time for waiting for the panel 3. And I'm Laura, and I'm the partner of Elven, which is a professional crypto accounting software aims to help OTC payment exchange to meet the needs of compliance and auditing and financial automation and digital assets management. And at the first beginning, I'd like to invite all of you to introduce yourself and your project very briefly. Okay.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you, Cyberport, for having me here. My name is Raj Bagadi, and I'm the founder and CEO at eMoney Network. We are based in UK. We are a MiCA-compliant public permission network, which allows projects to build on eMoney Network and become compliant. As a result, they can build on the 4 pillars of proof of identity, proof of compliance, proof of ownership, and proof of custody, and they can become compliant with local regulations, and also they can offer financial and banking services through eMoney Network.
Okay.
Thank you.
How about Serra?
Hi everyone, I'm founder of Aegis Custody. So we are regulated SEC qualified custodian in the US. We also have a regulated MAS licensed entity, payment entity in Singapore. And in Hong Kong, we focusing on providing clearing and custody solutions to financial institutions, including banks, broker-dealer, and asset managers.
Okay, how about Justin?
Hi, very nice to be here. Thank you, Cyberport, for always including us. My name is Justin Chan. I head up business and partnerships at RD Technologies. We're a company that has 2 major businesses. The first one, which recently had quite a bit of news, was that we're one of the 3 companies that got admitted into the stablecoin sandbox regime in Hong Kong under the HKMA, so we're very proud of that. And the major use cases from the stablecoin side that we're working on includes trading, as well as using stablecoins for cross-border payments. The second business that we have is also licensed with a stored value facility license in Hong Kong. So for those who don't know the license, it's somewhat similar to those that companies like Alipay have, WeChat Pay has, and essentially we store value. So we can take deposits, and we specialize this for Web3 companies, as well as payment companies who are moving stables.
Okay, thank you. And here comes the first question for all of you. And what does mass adoption of Web3 look like to you? Okay, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, the question is very important because we're talking about the end goal. How does the mass adoption look like? So what now, if you look at all over the world, we have like 500 million users using Web3, but we are looking like, we need billions of users, should use the Web3. That means just like how people are using banking in their phone. Olden days, we used to go to the branch and use the banking services. Now it's completely evolved. So similarly, we looking at like people using in their phones, in their daily activities, using Web3 services to buy the groceries, to make the payments, to pay the bills, whatever it is. So that's what I'm seeing as the final, not like final, but like mass adoption of the Web3, where Web3 becomes part of the life in everyday activities. We are using Web3 for all our activities, yeah.
Okay, and how about Serra?
So I actually think we have achieved sort of mass adoption for crypto digital asset. I think right now is how do we actually move from unregulated to a regulated status? And that actually, for example, involving for example, free flow of crypto and money going into the financial regulated industries. For example, in Hong Kong, we're focusing on the broker-dealer industries. So how do we actually get stable coins and other cryptocurrencies, digital assets, flow into the existing broker-dealer infrastructures by us providing the wallet infrastructures, creating the addresses. So that would be something we can see more crypto that integrated with existing infrastructure as well as in a regulated and compliant way.
Okay, and how about Justin?
Yeah, so somewhat building on what Serra said, I think my vision of what mass adoption for Web3 is that we don't talk about Web3, right? Like it's just the same as anything else. And when we start labeling an industry, it's because it's new, it's exciting. Web3, we talk about it, and then it became Web2. We had to define Web2 when Web3 came out, right? So somewhat similar to when the internet age came on, and there was mass adoption in terms of applications like Amazon, like the Netflixes of the world. That's how I see it, right? Which is there's no distinction between a digital asset versus a financial asset because they're all sort of the same. And somewhat to Sarah's point is that, what we sort of see in the market and why, we have this interesting license between something that can hold fiat money as well as a stablecoin license is because sooner or later we believe this is just one thing, right? Which is whether that ends up being hopefully at an HSBC account or somewhere else where you have all of your financial assets as well as digital assets in one place, and you can seamlessly move in and out of it in a way that's very easy and adoptable for people. So that's where I see.
Okay, I have one more question for Justin. And what are the biggest barriers to entry for users new to Web3?
Yeah, so I think there are really two which I see. I think it's quite evident from this new wave of the bull market, right? Which is everyone sort of held their breath and thought there would be another like retail bull market, right? Like maybe meme coins would still do one, some of them do, and a lot of people are thinking, okay, we're going to bring a next billion in through retail, right? Because everyone just wanted to chase the next BTC up to 100K. That's not really what we saw. Instead, what we saw was much more what Serra and as well as Raj was saying, which is financialization, regulation, and trust, right? And so I think that's what we see in this next wave, which is really we've ran out of that people chasing the risky asset because they want to make a buck versus now we're talking about, okay, if we are going to have mass adoption, it's because it's through an ETF, right? And why is it through an ETF? It's not because necessarily first because of regulation, but secondly because of user experience, which is I'm used to buying equities, I'm used to buying an ETF, so now I can go to Interactive Brokers and do it, right? I can go to Blackstone or BlackRock to do it. So I think user experience was always a problem because usually you go in and you have a PIN number and it's not like this 12-word thing that if you lose, you might lose $1 million, right? And you see those headlines all the time. So I think, that's what's changed with this new wave, which is user experience has become such a big thing in terms of actually bringing the next billion people in. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is regulation, right? Which is you have the same headlines, which is, oh, like Bitcoin fell X amount and like people lost money and all this kind of stuff. And so how does regulation come into play is that people can start to build trust, right? And we're now seeing players with big names who are regulated FIs get into this space, and that's how you build the trust, because I've always worked with BlackRock to buy X amount of whatever, right? So I think that's what's necessary, which is really good user experience, which is seamless, like a Web2 company. And then the second one is regulation, so we can protect people, so that if anything bad happens, there's recourse and people can trust the system.
And RKB, do you have something more to add?
I agree with Justin what he said. Number one, UI, UX, Web2 people got used to this nice, way of interacting with the products, like banking ecosystem and everything. But Web3 is full of smart contracts and everything. And along with UI, UX, of course, regulations. Everybody whole day talking about it. But I also say is knowledge. They have to understand how to use the Web3 as well. So, teaching people how to use Web3, a better way of interacting with with the Web3 will help people to adopt Web3 more faster and quicker. I mean, the adoption can be much faster, along with UI, UX, and regulations. So knowledge transfer is also very needed. Teaching people how to use Web3 is very needed. That's something I say it's important as well, along with those 2 points, yeah.
Okay, and what industries do you think will lead the charge in adopting Web3 technologies, Serra?
So we specifically focusing on institutions and then also regulated financial institutions. So I think for Hong Kong market, if you look at the banking landscape, if you look at broker-dealers and asset managers, we're actually seeing much more adoptions in the broker-dealers. Actually, because I'm also going to give a panel next week about the custody across like Asia, like Japan, Singapore, and Hong Kong. So I think compared to Japan have like over 30 regulated exchanges, Singapore is similar to that, 28, Hong Kong has 3. The industry, and then also like many banks already involved in Japan for like issuing stable coins, and then Singapore also has many licensed, and then there are also 3 licensed stable coins. The industry that are really vibrant and growing in Hong Kong is actually the broker-dealers. So compared to like 4 broker-dealers in Japan and 4 in Singapore, there are 55 licensed broker-dealers that can actually deal with digital asset and virtual assets. So we're really kind of seeing that growing number in Hong Kong for trading, facilitating trading, or even distribution of tokenized products. So that is something, an area that we're seeing getting to mainstream in Hong Kong, in the institution and regulated financial space.
Okay, and how about Justin? What's your idea about this question?
Well, I don't want to exclude anyone from blockchain. So ideally, all industries can find, some sort of use of that technology, somewhat similar to how everyone sort of adopted internet. But I do, for the purpose of the company, we're very much focused on cross-border payments, right? And that's something which we're deeply passionate about because it touches really anyone, and it touches everyone in a different way. Obviously, what we're seeing in the market today is one major problem is that it's just very slow to send money across borders, right? And it's something that is built from a system that is very archaic, where people sending money, let's say from Hong Kong to Brazil, has to go through 5 corresponding banks, right? You send $100, and by the time it gets to Brazil, it's probably 2, right? So that's just something which is quite crazy in the day and age of internet. And so that's something which is an obvious pain point that we can solve. And on top of that, hopefully we can do it in T+0 instant, as opposed to over T+5 days, right? So that's something which we're very passionate about. I think it's something that blockchain is very built for, in the sense that you can scale with it. It's actually more transparent because you can actually watch through the blockchain as well, so you know where the money actually is. And so from that perspective, I think that's an industry very ripe for disruption. So that's one in terms of how we can move money quicker across borders. And then the second one is something that we already see, which is financial inclusion, right? So unfortunately, within the world, there still is a lot of people who don't have a bank account and don't have access to put their hard-earned cash and assets into a banking rail. Now, within blockchain, this is something that we've already seen, where people are using stable coins as a way to safeguard their assets. Partly also because, given after COVID, a lot of emerging market currencies has been hit pretty hard with inflation. And so they're essentially using stable coins as a store of value, right? Historically, what you use with gold, but much more easy to access. And so we're seeing that whether in Africa, whether in LATAM, whether in ASEAN, where people are getting a crypto wallet and be able to hold their financial assets. And that might be their first account, which actually holds some sort of wealth. Right, so that's something which we firmly believe that it's something that you can do through the internet because everyone has a phone now, versus actually having to do brick and mortar bank accounts. So these are things that we think is a good industry to disrupt as well.
Okay, thank you. And the last question is for RKB. How can traditional business integrate Web3 solutions without alienating their existing customers?
When you're talking about traditional businesses, like we have seen so many today morning, for example, supply chain people can use blockchain technology as well. And mainly we're talking about, as even banking, insurance and financial institutions. It's mainly through with the regulations. Yeah. So if it is in the financial sector, regulations are very important. When there is a regulatory clarity from the different governments, all parts of the world, and when there will be a common regulatory framework, as a result, what happens is that creates a common decentralized identity, and that can be integrated in the Web2 world, where traditional businesses, let it be banks, insurance companies, or fintech institutions, based on that, we have like commodities businesses or supply chain businesses, shipping industries, real-world asset. They all can be integrated easily, where with the right UI UX, so users don't feel any change at all. Yeah, and they can simply, because financial institutions, they already do KYC, so they can offer all the services by default. But if it's non-financial institution, and they can adopt it in the background in a private or a public, both ways, and they can use the service internally. Yeah.
And Sarah, can you give us?
Yes, so actually the largest banking and broker-dealer wealth management trading system called TTL, they already integrated our wallet services. So actually in Hong Kong, maybe not like the largest bank like HSBC, but there's many other several banks that are using TTL's trading systems will be able, like the users will be able to actually see, not just a stock and US stock, Hong Kong stock, but also like stable coins. So they will be able to like send and receive stable coins using the existing trading platforms from the banks, and then to be to purchase, like for example, also the tokenized money market funds that we're issuing. So right now it's like integration is already done. It's like it's already announced, and then so right now and then the banks are launching it by the end of the year, and then broker-dealer as well. So that's actually something, meaning that from the user perspective, whether that's using the website or the app, they will be able to see different crypto accounts, and not just stablecoin, but also like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies. So that is where we're seeing the seamless UI integrations when the Web3 or the wallet infrastructure is now embedded behind the existing banking as well as broker-dealer industries, so that from the user's perspective, they don't see it so differently. They don't need to open an account. They just need to use their existing app so that they will be able to trade as well as do other investment products.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, all of you. This is the end of panel 3. And thank you, 3 distinguished panelists, for your wonderful sharing. Thank you.